Rosalie? Carlyle brought Rosalie to our family next. I didn't realize until much later that he was hoping she would be to me what Esme was to him. He was careful with his thoughts around me. He rolled his eyes. But she was never more than a sister. It was almost 2 years later that she found Emmett. She was hunting. We were in Appalachia at the time and found a bear about to finish him off. She carried him back to Carlisle, more than 100 miles, afraid she wouldn't be able to do it herself. I'm only beginning to guess how difficult that journey was for her. He threw a pointed glance in my direction and raised our hands, still folded together, to brush my cheek with the back of his hand. But she made it, I encouraged, looking away from the unbearable beauty of his eyes. Yes, he murmured. She saw something in his face that made her strong enough, and they've been together ever since. Sometimes they live separately from us, as a married couple, but the younger we pretend to be, the longer we can stay in any given place. Forks seemed perfect, so we all enrolled in high school, he laughed. I suppose we'll have to go to their wedding in a few years, again. Alice and Jasper? Alice and Jasper are two very rare creatures. They both developed a conscience, as we refer to it, with no outside guidance. Jasper belonged to another family, a very different kind of family. He became depressed and he wandered on his own. Alice found him. Like me, she has certain gifts above and beyond the norm for our kind. Really? I interrupted, fascinated. But you said you were the only one who could hear people's thoughts. That's true. She knows other things. She sees things, things that might happen, things that are coming. But it's very subjective. The future isn't set in stone. Things change. His jaw set when he said that, and his eyes darted to my face and away so quickly that I wasn't sure if I'd only imagined it. What kinds of things does she see? She saw Jasper and knew that he was looking for her before he knew it himself. She saw Carlyle and our family, and they came together to find us. She's most sensitive to non-humans. She always sees, for example, when another group of our kind is coming near, and any threat they may pose. Are there a lot of your kind? I was surprised. How many of them could walk among us undetected? No, not many, but most won't settle in any one place. Only those like us, who've given up hunting you people, a sly glance in my direction, can live together with humans for any length of time. We've only found one other family like ours, in a small village in Alaska. We lived together for a time, but there were so many of us that we became too noticeable. Those of us who live differently tend to band together, and the others? Nomads, for the most part. We've all lived that way at times. It gets tedious like anything else, but we run across the others now and then, because most of us prefer the north. Why is that? We were parked in front of my house now, and he turned off the truck. It was very quiet and dark. There was no moon. The porch light was off, so I knew my father wasn't home yet. Did you have your eyes open this afternoon? He teased. Do you think I could walk down the street in the sunlight without causing traffic accidents? There's a reason why we chose the Olympic Peninsula, one of the most sunless places in the world. It's nice to be able to go outside in the day. You wouldn't believe how tired you can get of nighttime in 80-odd years. So that's where the legends came from. Probably. And Alice came from another family, like Jasper? No, and that is a mystery. Alice doesn't remember her human life at all, and she doesn't know who created her. She awoke alone. Whoever made her walked away, and none of us understand why or how he could. If she hadn't had that other sense, if she hadn't seen Jasper and Carlyle and known that she would someday become one of us, she probably would have turned into a total savage. There was so much to think through, so much I still wanted to ask, but to my great embarrassment my stomach growled. I'd been so intrigued I hadn't even noticed I was hungry. I realize now that I was ravenous. I'm sorry, I'm keeping you from dinner. I'm fine, really. I've never spent much time around anyone who eats food. I forget. I want to stay with you. It was easier to say in the darkness. knowing as I spoke how my voice would betray me, my hopeless addiction to him. Can I come in? He asked. Would you like to? I couldn't picture it, this godlike creature sitting in my father's shabby kitchen chair. Yes, if it's all right. I heard the door close quietly, and almost simultaneously he was outside my door, opening it for me. Very human, I complimented him. It's definitely resurfacing. He walked beside me in the night, so quietly I had to peek at him constantly to be sure he was still there. In the darkness he looked much more normal, still pale, still dreamlike in his beauty, but no longer the fantastic sparkling creature of our sunlit afternoon. He reached the door ahead of me and opened it for me. I paused halfway through the frame. The door was unlocked? No, I used the key from under the eave. I stepped inside, flicked on the porch light, and turned to look at him, with my eyebrows raised. I was sure I'd never used that key in front of him. I was curious about you. You spied on me? But somehow I couldn't infuse my voice with the proper outrage. I was flattered. He was unrepentant. What else is there to do at night? I let it go for the moment and went down the hall to the kitchen. He was there before me, needing no guide. He sat in the very chair I tried to picture him in. His beauty lit up the kitchen. It was a moment before I could look away. I concentrated on getting my dinner, taking last night's lasagna from the fridge, placing a square on a plate, heating it in the microwave. It revolved, filling the kitchen with the smell of tomatoes and oregano. I didn't take my eyes from the plate of food as I spoke. How often? I asked casually. Hmm? He sounded as if I had pulled him from some other train of thought. I still didn't turn around. How often did you come here? I come here almost every night. I whirled, stunned. Why? You're interesting when you sleep. He spoke matter-of-factly. You talk. No, I gasped, heat flooding my face all the way to my hairline. I gripped the kitchen counter for support. I knew I talked in my sleep, of course. My mother teased me about it. I hadn't thought it was something I needed to worry about here, though. His expression shifted instantly to chagrin. Are you very angry with me? That depends, I felt, and sounded like I'd had the breath knocked out of me. He waited. On? He urged. What you heard, I wailed. Instantly, silently, he was at my side, taking my hands carefully in his. Don't be upset, he pleaded. He dropped his face to the level of my eyes, holding my gaze. I was embarrassed. I tried to look away. You miss your mother, he whispered. You worry about her. And when it rains, the sound makes you restless. You used to talk about home a lot, but it's less often now. Once you said, it's too green. He laughed softly, hoping. Uh, I could see, not to offend me further. Anything else? I demanded. He knew what I was getting at. You did say my name, he admitted. I sighed in defeat. A lot? How much do you mean by a lot, exactly? Oh, no, I hung my head. He pulled me against his chest, softly, naturally. Don't be self-conscious, he whispered in my ear. If I could dream at all, it would be about you, and I'm not ashamed of it. Then we both heard the sound of tires and the brick on the brick driveway, uh, saw the headlights flash through the front windows down the hall to us. I stiffened in his arms. Should your father know I'm here? He asked. I'm not sure. I tried to think it through quickly. Another time then. And I was alone. Edward! I hissed. I heard a ghostly chuckle, then nothing else. My father's key turned in the door.